Hey everyone, welcome to our Sunday night Project Free the Best You call. I'm so excited to be here. I always feel like a little bit apprehensive before I host these calls, and I think it's because I just want to give so much value to you guys, and make sure that you guys walk away and feel like ready to kickstart the next 2 weeks. So we do these calls every 2 weeks, and I know that they're really awesome for all of you to be jumping on and coming together as a community, and particularly a community of women. So we've got a very special guest joining us this evening, and she's someone who has hugely impacted my isogenics journey. So I always feel a little bit emotional when I introduce her. But we don't really read out ranks or anything on this call, Leanne. We just, for me, who you are is someone who works from heart. Like, I know if you ask anybody on this call, those that have met you, those that haven't, those that have seen you on our calls, they'll always say that you just really lead from that heart space, that soul space. And for me, that's what these calls are about. And that's why I asked you to jump on. So I'm really grateful that you gave up your time on Mother's Day, I might just add.
That's okay. You're welcome. You're welcome.
To join us. When I'm sure there's lots of things you could have been doing with Sammy. Thank you so much for giving up an hour to be with us. We're so grateful for you. And thanks for all that you do. And I thought maybe we could just start off by hearing a bit more about your story and then go from there.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So I guess I'm just looking, you've got 12 on the call. Can I just get maybe a thumbs up if you've heard my story before, and a thumbs down if you haven't heard my story before? Because I just want to see how many people. Okay, so we've got a couple that have and a couple that haven't. All right, no worries. Okay, because I don't want to go into too much detail for all of you if you've already heard it before. So look, I started my isogenics journey back in September 2012, so it's just coming up to it's 5.5 years, probably just gone 5.5 years now. When I first started with isogenics, a couple of things were happening in my life at the time. We'd just been through the global financial crisis, and we had literally lost every cent to our name. It was a really challenging time for us financially. We'd actually accrued a heap of wealth prior to that, and we're going really great financially, and then unfortunately just got hit after hit after hit through the global financial crisis and lost everything. And then what happened was we borrowed $15,000 from my mum, $15,000 from Scott's mum, and my dad went guarantor so that we could actually buy a very, very modest home. And our home didn't even have like a proper front door. People would come to the house and there was no front door there, and they wouldn't even know how to sort of get in. That's the sort of house that it was. But, you know, we were going to start again. And I was a stay-at-home mum. I had a little boy who was 4 at the time. And we'd always decided that when we had kids that I would be a stay-at-home mum, because that's the way that we wanted to raise our family. And Scott was working as an investment advisor. He was working commission only. So he wasn't earning a lot of money because nobody wanted to invest after the global financial crisis, and no one had any money, and nobody just kind of trusted the market at all. So he was making very little money, and I wasn't making any money. So we moved into this house, and things still got worse from there. We had to cut our mortgage in half because we couldn't afford to pay it. We were working from week to week financially. And I was looking for a business to run from home. But everything that I was looking at, there was big startup costs, you know, at least $10,000 or $20,000 or something like that, and constant money that you had to invest into stock or something. And we just didn't have it. And so it was kind of amazing how the timing of everything happened. And it's quite a traumatic story, but now when I look back on it, it all is such a blessing, because what happened is we were moving into this house, and not long after we moved in, I found out that I was pregnant, and with our second child. And I got to 11.5 weeks of my pregnancy, and I ended up having a very, very traumatic miscarriage where I had to go to hospital for a couple of weeks. And a lot of complications. I had very severe hemorrhaging and I had to have surgery, and it was a really, really difficult time for me, obviously emotionally, and you know, I it was just a very hard time for me. So after I'd had the miscarriage, I was at home, and for about 3 months after that, I was in a really, really bad place with my health because I'd had surgery, I'd been on all these antibiotics, and I was very anemic, and just and I was emotional, I was depressed, everything was really terrible for me. So it was just a hard time for us, and we had the pressure of finances on top of us and everything as well. And then so here I was with all this pressure to go back to work, and so sick that I could hardly get off the couch. And I was going to all these naturopaths and doctors and homeopaths and all these different natural health practitioners and normal doctors, and I just couldn't find anything to get myself right again. So out of the blue, I got a phone call from an old school friend, Jono Patch, and he rang me because I'd been studying life coaching. I had a few clients as a life coach back then, and he rang and said, Leanne, are you still doing life coaching? And I said, well, I am a little bit, not a lot at the moment. And I told him that, look, I've been through this miscarriage and we've lost all our money and times are really hard. And he said, wow, well, you might actually be interested in something that we're doing, which is isogenics. And at the time, my biggest focus was I needed to get better because I was really sick. And but the business opportunity sounded interesting. However, I was really anti-network marketing at that point because someone had tried to get me into Amway some years prior and did it in a really bad way and really turned me off network marketing. So I wasn't quite so open to that at that point, but I thought, okay, I'll try the products and just see. So I did a heap of research on the products first. It looked fantastic. I decided that I would do it and see if it would help with my health. I could not believe how quickly it turned my health around within the space of, it was for me, it was about 45 days on the program. It wasn't the first 30 days, but it was about 45 days. And I just had a spring back in my step. I was just smiling and happy again. And all the mums at school who had seen how sick I was after my miscarriage were like, wow, Leanne, what have you done? Like, how did you get better so quickly? And you're just so happy and vibrant again. Like, what did you do? And I said, well, I did this cleanse program. And they're like, what is it? Where did we get it from? And I said, well, it's called isogenics, and I'll find out for you how I can get a hold of it for you. And I told them about it because I'd done loads of research myself before starting, so I understood what it was all about. So I went back to Jono and Jen and I said, look, I got people asking me about this. How do I share it? And they explained a little bit about the business model. So, I went and shared it with these mums. And as a life coach, I knew how to coach people, and you don't need to know how to do that with this to be successful at this anyway. But, I just supported people through the program. I just held their hand, and they had great results as well. And, as soon as they started having great results, their friends and family got very inspired and started asking them. And that's when I really saw the business opportunity, and people were just coming to me with so much gratitude for helping them change their health. And I was just, I don't know, it just was so fulfilling for me. And I knew that I'd found a platform that I wanted to create a business from, and that it kind of just all happened really organically, to be honest, Rachel.
Yeah, it's interesting because my next question was going to be like, what was the point when it went from like sharing with mums at the school gate to being like a opportunity that you were like, oh, this could actually be something that could mean that I don't have to go back to work and I can be with Sammy. So was there a point, did you have like a couple of women that you were potentially doing it with, or how did it look for you?
Look, I think it was all just sort of in the beginning. When I first got started, we didn't have any money. We were so broke, and we couldn't even afford to do the pack. And back then there wasn't even a premium pack. There was only the very basic 30-day program. And at that time it was, I don't know, it was a pretty cheap program. And when I first said to Scott, I really want to do this for my health, and if it goes well with my health, I'm open to looking at the business side of it. And he just said, no, we just don't have the money for it. We can't afford it. And I was so desperate to get myself back on track with my health that I decided I would be a little bit sneaky, and I would put some grocery money aside every week until such time as I had accrued enough that I could buy it for myself. And then anyway, what happened was a couple of weeks had gone by, and I ended up talking to Jono and Jen, and they said, look, why don't you get Scott on a 3-way call with us and with Warren Lance, who is our upline. And so what they did was they got him on a call with Jono and Jen, and they convinced him that it would be, you know, a great thing for my health, and that it would potentially be a great opportunity for a business. And so he agreed to do it, and we became a consultant straight away so that we could get the money back. So that was Scott and myself and my mum. Now, my mum ended up becoming the IsaBody Challenge winner for 2012/13. So she did it in 2012. She became the winner in 2013 at 66 years of age. She turned 66 or 67 at the time, which was amazing. She looked phenomenal. She lost 14.5 kilos in 3.5 months. And I just have to say, because I have to put the disclaimer in there, that may not be the weight loss for everybody else, but that's what my mum achieved, and which is absolutely phenomenal. And I think, to answer your question, Rachel, I know I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there, but
no, you've shared so much gold, and I want to dig into that in a second.
the first numbers of people, like, it was just a handful of people that I shared it with in the beginning. And what really made me decide to do it as a business was just, you know, my whole life since I was a little tiny girl, I always knew that my purpose in life was to help a lot of people. I just knew that in my heart, and I didn't know, well, how would I do that? Like, how can I do that? And I didn't know what the platform would be. And then when this happened with Isagenix, and I shared it with some other people, and they had these great results, and the way that they came back to me with so much gratitude for helping them transform their health in a way that they'd been unable to do for such a long time, and the gratitude, the heartfelt gratitude that they poured into me, it just filled me up so much that I felt addicted to it. I just wanted to go and seek out more people to help, because I just thought, I need to feel that again. I want to help more people, because I want to have that sense of being able to contribute and that sense of fulfillment. So that's where I started sharing. And then when I started getting some payment from that, I was like, wow, that I didn't even work for that. That was easy. That was just me sharing because I love people and I want to help them.
Yeah.
And I don't even consider that work. And then all of a sudden I'm getting paid for it. So imagine if I actually put some conscious effort into this, what would be possible?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was a no-brainer. It was like everything aligns. This feeds my heart. It feeds my soul. I'm helping people and I'm getting paid for it. And even if I wasn't getting paid as much as I was getting paid, I'd be wanting to do it anyway, because it just makes you feel good to light other people up and see them get lit up when they change their health. And I see Laura is there on the call. I have to just say, like, I mean, look how lit up Laura gets for her, and all of us get lit up to see results such as Laura's for what she's achieved. I mean, what a fulfilling business to be in.
Yeah.
So I think it was very early for me that I knew I wanted to do it as a business. And initially my goal was $700 a week. That's it, because that was what I had budgeted that I needed so that I didn't have to go back to work, that I could stay at home with my little boy. And the $700 a week came so fast. And then it was like, wow, I didn't expect that. What's the next goal? Nice. So the next goal was I just wanted to get Scott out of his job, because he was really, really highly stressed working in the financial industry after the global financial crisis, when everybody was really stressed about money and it was taking its toll on his happiness, on his health, on our marriage, on everything. And he was never at home. He was never seeing our little boy. And we just weren't spending time together as a family. So my next goal was, right, I have to get him home. And so that was the next thing that I worked for. And then that was 13 months into our journey. He was able to resign from his job. And from there it was like, well, that's it. I'm happy. I've got my husband at home. I've got my son here. We can all be at home now. Now I just want to help other people do the same thing. So in helping other people do the same thing and having that intention, that is where the business grew exponentially. Because for me, sorry, I know I'm raving on.
No. I was just going to say, like, so many of the women on the call, so everybody on this call is like wanting to build the business. So you can, that you can really dive into the business stuff. And that's when you said that, like, about, you had that financial goal to bring Scott home. What did that look like? Like, did you know how much money that was? Was that a star rank? Like, what was that for you?
Okay, so this is a really important thing, and I just want everyone to please do this because it's so important. From the very first day that I got involved in Isogenics, so the day that we enrolled in Isogenics, the very next day there was a Super Saturday, no, not a Super Saturday, it was an ISA Uni was on in Brisbane, and Jono and Jen rang us and said, actually, there's an IC Uni on tomorrow. Why don't you just go along and check it out? And we sort of said, oh, well, we've got time tomorrow. Yeah, we'll go and have a look. So we went and had a look. That's where we found out about the ISA Body Challenge, which I enrolled my mum in without her really even knowing what. I just said, Mum, you're going in this ISA Body Challenge. She had no idea what I was putting her in, but I just put her in it. Thank goodness I did, because she won. Excuse me. Then we found out about the ISA Derby, which had already started and I think was already like a month and a half in. And we said, well, can we be in it as well? And they said, look, we're taking some top individuals at the end of it. So work hard and, if you get through, you'll get into it. So we set a goal that we were going to do the ISA Derby. And then they also told us about the path to executive and all the rest of it. Now, we had done our first 30 days and we'd only shared it with a couple of people at that stage, which I think was Scott, myself, my mum, and I think Scott's cousin. And then at the end of our 30 days, we decided we were loving our own results. We decided we wanted to check out the business side of it. So we went to Sydney to go and see David Wood, and we had no money. We actually decided we would take money out of our mortgage money and we would spend that instead of paying for our mortgage. We went to David Wood in Sydney, not suggesting anyone else do that, but that's what we did. We wanted to back ourselves. So we went to Sydney, we went to David Wood, and that's where we really understood about the Crystal Executive. And so from that point, that weekend, we just finished our first 30 days. We got our first consultant right then and there. And then we set ourselves a goal and we wrote down that we would be Crystal Executive by no later than the 1st of November. Now we started in 1st of September. We became Crystal Executive right before that. So we were the fastest in Australia at the time to go Crystal Executive. We just went for it. I don't know. It was just, we just picked that first 30 days. David showed us the track and we decided we were going to go out and share it with everyone. Anyone that I spoke to that I wanted to share it with, I told them that the easiest way to get started was to have 2 people join them. And what I would do is I would say, look, come over to my house. I'll give you a taste of the shakes and just bring a couple of people. Like if you got a partner, what about your mum, sister, friend? Just bring a couple of people and I'll give you a little sample. I'll make a couple of shakes for you. So it was like this kitchen catch up. And so it was so easy. It was just, I'd have one person interested and I'd get 2 others to come and I'd either go to their house or they'd come to mine and I'd make them a couple of shakes. I'd kind of walk them through the program, how to take it. And next thing you knew, we had 10 consultants, and that was right before Christmas. And then I think about 5 of them dropped off within a week after we became executive. And then it took us another 2 months to get back to executive again, and we stayed solid, and we've been solid as executive ever since. But what I was going to say, and I went off on a bit of a tangent, I apologize, is everything we've done to hit all of our goals, you've got to write down your goals. You have to write it on a piece of paper, and you've got to put it in a number of places where you look at it, and you've got to look at it all the time. You've got to put it up on the fridge, in your office, on the bathroom mirror, and you have to say it out loud. I will be, or I will earn $5,000 a week, or whatever. I mean, that's a big goal, but whatever it is, on or before this particular date. So most of the time we would make it a financial goal. Sometimes we would make it a rank goal, but most of the time, in the beginning, in the early days, we would make it a financial goal. That was up before Scott left his job. And because at that point, it was the money that was important to us, was the finances for ourselves, to put ourselves in a place where we had that freedom. But once we'd achieved our financial goal, then it became a rank goal, and the rank goal was not actually about how many stars for the cycles, it was how many executives we were creating. Because to us, from there forward, everything was about who else can we get to executive? Who can we help to change their life and their finances like we have? So it was never, we want to be, 5-star crystal executive, 5-star golden circle. It was always, we need another 5, or we need another 2 executives and another 2 executives, because we knew that it's the law of abundance. The more people that you help, the more that if you think of the universe like this beautiful big pot of energy, you can't just take from it. It's a law of reciprocation. Whatever you put in will return back to you. So you've got to be putting into the pot, the universal pot, in order to receive back. So if I can give you any tips about business or anything in life, don't think of this as a business where you're here to get for yourself, because if you're trying to take from that pot all the time, you'll be struggling. You'll be struggling constantly. But if your how to achieve your goals is about, I want to help Laura, I want to help Rachel, I want to help this person get to their next level, then you will automatically create more abundance for yourself.
God, I love that so much. Like, I hope you guys are making notes, because I'm taking that, and I think because so often we get transfixed on I need to get to this star and this rank and this thing. And although that's it, just hearing that perception, that view of it, Leanne, of if I help 2 people get to executive, that being my goal. And because my next thing was look, you don't get to millionaire without doing a hell of a lot of work. I know that, well, not personally, but just knowing what you've shared with me in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And so my next question was how did you get there and still keep that real beauty of abundance that you live your life by? Because I know that's how you live your life. So, and I can really hear that. I can hear that that's how you did it, that you just were going out and helping people to achieve their goals.
And you know what too, Rachel, the thing is, we never looked at our personally enrolled team and went, okay, who can we help in there? We looked down low, deep into our team. Okay, who in our team, down deep, is wants to run, is inspired, is passionate about this business, has a heart of service, has all the qualities that we're looking for. Who wants this, and who's ready for it, and who wants to run? Because let's go and help them, because it doesn't matter if it's you personally enrolled or if it's someone down in your business, it's all going to contribute. It's all going to feed up to everyone. And we want everybody to be receiving all of this, because, that's how the momentum gets created when we're working deep and we're helping everybody in the team. So, yeah. And the other thing I have to say, I've done a lot of Tony Robbins work, as you know, Rachel, and you know, Tony talks about there being 6 human needs, and the 6 human needs that we all have, but we value them at different orders, is the first one is certainty. We all have a need for certainty or security, a need to feel certain about different things in our life, that we have control over, you know, how much money is coming in each week. We need to feel certain that we have a roof over our head, certain that certain things that our kids are safe, that things are going to happen. Then we have a need. The next one is significance. We all have a need to feel important in our life. The third one is a need for variety, because we don't want everything to be mundane all the time. So we have a need to do different things, for life to be a little bit different here and there. The fourth one is love and connection. We all have a need to be loved. We all have a need to love and to connect with other people. The fifth one is growth. Now those first 4 human needs are needs of the ego. Now, the next two are the needs of the spirit, which is growth. So personal growth is all about us expanding ourselves, because when we grow and expand ourselves, we then have the opportunity to contribute more of ourselves and have a bigger purpose in the world. So that then leads to the last one, which is contribution. And contribution is the most spiritual of all. So growing and expanding and contributing, those last 2 is all the needs of the spirit. Now, in this business, if you're chasing ranks in order to be significant, because you want to achieve it, because it looks good, you know, I want to be 5-star because that's going to look really great, or that's going to make me feel really important, that is a need of the ego, okay? Doesn't mean that it's not okay to do that, because we all want to feel really good hitting those ranks, and that's totally fine. But if your real intent is to go after something because you want to contribute to others, and that growth to you is about actually contributing and helping others to grow and expand and become more of themselves and have transformations and have a more successful life, then you're working on the spiritual plane, and you're actually going to create abundance so much quicker, and you're just going to be so much more fulfilled, and life's going to be amazing. So I don't even know what your question was then, Rachel. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That was like so good. I was like, I'm so glad I recorded it, because I'm going to write that bit of good old Tony Robbins down and implement that into my life. But yeah, I think that's just like, and people are writing in the comments like how.
Yeah. I can't read the comments from here because I'm short-sighted. I'm sorry. But I just think just be conscious of your intentions. Be conscious of your mindset of why you're doing things. And it's just about having awareness and catching yourself in what your reasons are. And if you notice that you're doing it because, I want that rank for this reason of feeling important or significant, I mean, that's okay too, because that is a human need and we all have that need. But try and find it within yourself to also incorporate the heartfelt contribution, because it will come so much easier if you do it that way, and you won't struggle with it. It will be really fulfilling for you.
Yeah. And I think the thing when people say, people just showed up, like obviously, like quite often we need to actually go out and do the work and talk to people, but equally these people just start like showing up and you're like, oh, where did they come from? But it's because the energy behind it is very much about, I want to make a difference, and then kind of like drawn to you like a magnet. So
yes, absolutely.
Which is really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a question, because I thought this would be really beneficial for everyone on the call to like really start, because you guys can put your hands up. I've got it on like Leanne's face, but like, who would love to have like more business builders, more people that want to do the business in their team? Yeah, we all want more of that. And so, Leanne, I know that you were really great at like casting the vision and really creating, like finding people like yourself. So how did you go about finding more people like you that wanted to do what you were doing?
Yeah. Okay. So I think really at the end of the day, people come into the business for different reasons. And I got to a point in the business and I thought to myself, okay, why are we attracting so many business builders? Why are people I wanted to really analyze it and understand it, so I was able to help other people do the same and duplicate. And this is what I analysed for our business, why people were joining us for the business side of things. And there's 5 reasons. So first of all, we all know a lot of people would, and it might be worthwhile for you guys to write this down because, well, it's being recorded, but it would be really helpful for you. So the first reason people do Isagenix is they do it for the products. And I guess probably, I think the statistics now are about 87% of all people that start Isagenix start as a product user. So we want to make sure that everyone has a good product experience. Now, the next reason that people join Isagenix is maybe they've heard about the business and they want to do it because they need to change their finances for some reason, or they want to create more income. So they're the 2 really obvious ones. Then there was a small group of people that were joining us that I noticed who actually maybe already had really good finances, or they had good health, or both. But they were joining because they had no time in their life. So this could be someone like a CEO of a company who's earning a lot of money already, but he has absolutely no time for himself, and he's trying to buy some time back. We had other people like a personal trainer that was working really odd shifts, and he was doing 50-50 custody of his little boy, and those shifts didn't work well for him. So he was trying to earn enough money so that he could buy his time back, so he didn't have to work as many PT shifts. We had other people, we had another lady who was a business owner who had this massive big business, really, really super successful, an online clothing store, kids clothing store, but her passion wasn't in there anymore, and she was earning loads of money, but she just had no time and she wanted her time back. So time was another reason that people were joining. Then there were people who were looking for purpose in their life. They just had no passion for what they were doing. They had no purpose. Maybe they were a stay-at-home mum, and this is a big one with stay-at-home mums. Stay-at-home mums love being mums, but they're also looking for an additional purpose and additional passion in their life. Could be someone in a job that they hate their job, and so they're looking for something else. And then the last one, the 5th one, is community, or a sense of that tribe, being part of something, having a really positive peer group. So what I noticed is they were the 5 reasons people were coming into our business. And so for me, the way that I was attracting business builders, and the way I still attract business builders, is when I talk to people, I don't just go and present Isagenix to them. I always have like a social catch up with people, and I might go out with a girlfriend for a few hours, go out for dinner or have a few drinks or something like that, or catch up for lunch. And my whole intention is to ask lots of open questions, be really interested rather than interesting, but be really interested in what's happening in their life. And I ask questions around all of those 5 areas to find out which area is their area of pain in their life, which is the area where their gap is. Because if I can work out which area is their gap, then I know that I can share Isagenix with them in a way that is a solution to their needs based on what their concerns or their gap is, rather than me just presenting Isagenix exactly the same to everybody. I could be talking Japanese to a French person. It's like that. I mean, if I'm talking to someone about the products and they're not interested, and really they just want time back in their life, or they really want community, they're lonely, they're depressed, they've got not many friends, and they're yearning for some people to become friends with, and I'm talking about finances, but really what they want is they want a community to connect in with. I've got to be talking their language. So for me, that's how I attract people into the business, is really listen from my heart, be compassionate about where people are at, and talk their language. And that's pretty much it, Rachel. It's just really getting aligned with where somebody is at. And I don't know if there's any guys on here because I can only see girls, but I know you girls will understand what I'm saying when I say just feel into them, just feel into where the person's at, and share from that place.
Yeah, so Free the Best use just women, only female.
Oh, great.
So, yeah. So it's only women. I thought that I mentioned that, but
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
apologize.
That's fine. There won't be any guys on here. They're kind of banned unless there's some hiding. I think I can see Calvin in the background. Get out here, Cal. We can see you. Yeah, so like a real safe space for women to be able to
Beautiful.
share.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, I feel very honored then that I'm just here with the ladies. It's great.
Yeah, and just a space, where women can really help rise each other up. And this actually ties in really nicely to what else I wanted to talk about, but where women can support women and encourage each other to rise, versus what lots of us have experienced in the world is, that kind of competitive kind of catty tearing each other down. So and helping each woman, get to executive, which is essentially what you talked about at the beginning of the call. So I know we've got about 25 minutes left, so I just want to move on to the next bit, and then obviously we can take any questions. This year's been a big year for you, Leanne, and I know if there's anything you wanted to kind of talk about before we move on to this, like obviously just jump in, but you've been doing some fantastic work in the US, and I'm like, it's kind of like, like where's Wally, it's like where's Leanne, because you're like kind of flying around and doing all these incredible things and enjoying your life, like and really delving into like your other passions, and having Isogenics be the thing that allows you to do that is so amazing. And I think that that's essentially what we're all working towards. We've talked briefly on Facebook the other day about what you're doing and how you're really working on impact, and you can talk more about it because I'm probably going to describe it really poorly, but you're doing a lot of work around training so that you can empower the feminine and the connection between masculine feminine energy and this kind of thing. And so I obviously had said that I was really curious to know like how you found building an Isogenics business when it can be quite a masculine, quite like go, like, like results driven, how you found building that when you are a very feminine woman. Mm-hmm. And because we're all women on the call, to really nurture yourself inside that environment, which can be quite intense sometimes for a lot of us. So how did you find balancing that? And obviously we would love to hear about the work that you're going to be doing, training in, like all of that stuff as well, because it's super juicy.
Gosh, I don't even know where to start, to be honest, on all of that. And there's a kind of a lot of questions in amongst all of that. So I'll do my best. So look, I guess for those of you who don't know, I shared the first part of my story with you, and further on as that all progressed with my journey with Isogenics. So Scott and I, we had our little boy who's now 10, Samson, he's gorgeous. We actually separated about 3 years ago, and 2.5 years ago now, almost 3 years ago. So Scott and I are now divorced, and Scott's now remarried. We still run our business together, or we still have our business together, but we run it very separately. So for me, the last 2.5 years have been a real journey, going through all of that. I guess, gosh, where do I start with all of it? So I don't know, have any of you ladies been through a divorce? Or thumbs up if anyone, well actually thumbs down if anyone's been through it. Yes, I've got one person putting their thumb down. Well, Linda will know it's a very challenging time to go through, and I don't know which part of the question to answer first. So how about I just go back to the part about how did I do it in business. So in business with Sorry, I'm trying to work out how to frame this in the best
That's okay. Yeah, if you want to start off by sharing with us like your Isogenics bit, and then obviously the other stuff kind of comes later, doesn't it? Because that's something you're doing more.
Yeah. So. I think the whole journey of masculine and feminine is something that I've been very interested in for a long time, because it was something that in my marriage I was really noticing was affecting things a lot. So I started delving into that to find answers for myself as to why things weren't working in my marriage, and how I could better relate to my husband, and how we could create a more fulfilling relationship together. Fortunately and unfortunately, we separated. We're still great friends. We have 50-50 custody of our little boy. We've both moved on. But the last 2.5 years, they've been a real journey for me. And it's really moved me in a direction of an area that I want to share with other people and an area that I want to teach. So I've been working with Tony Robbins, as in doing a lot of his programs, immersing myself in his program since 2005. I did his first audio program in 1996 and started doing his live events in 2005. And then in 2015, after we'd maxed out our first business center and we'd become millionaire really fast, I think it was 23 months, I decided that I wanted to go and do Tony's Platinum Partners program, which is a year of immersion. And I had hoped that Scott would come, and it was something I wanted to do together, but our paths sort of went in a different direction and he wanted to do something different. And so I went away for that year and I did a whole lot of study with him, and my growth expanded out hugely, and I really got immersed into the masculine and feminine. And so building Isogenics, what it has allowed me to do, as Rachel said, it's given me the finances, or both Scott and I, the finances to be able to take time out of our business for a little while to navigate our divorce and our separation, and then also to really follow our passion. So this year for me is all about immersing in, I'm doing about 4 different courses at the moment. I'm studying doing Empowering Women and Empowering Men. They're 2-year-long courses, which is nearly 36 hours a week of study that I have to do. I have to travel backwards and forwards to the States every month to teach and train and get certified and licensed to teach this content. I've just finished my Tantra practitioner training course, which is all about very heartfelt, creating heartfelt intimacy in relationships. And I'm also doing a course in S Factor, which is feminine movement, helping women connect more in their feminine through their movement. So I just explaining that first, Rach, because I think that gives a bit of better framework. So moving that into my business, how I built with the masculine feminine, any time that a woman is going after a goal or is focused and driven and going after something, she's actually in her masculine. She's operating in her masculine. And for all of us women in our careers, when we're operating in our businesses and we're focused, we are actually operating in our masculine, which is, we now call it hunter. There's hunter and gatherer. So we're in our hunter mode. And what's really important is to know how to consciously step into our masculine and step into our hunter and step into our gatherer to serve us best and to serve the people around us in our team. So it's about knowing that when you're focused and you're in your business, that yes, I'm driving towards a goal and I'm in my hunter mode, but we can swap in and out of that so quickly and so easily. Us women, we can go into our feminine like that if we choose to. And it's just a matter of getting back grounded again, doing little things that can anchor us back, like dancing and movement and getting really connected back into our heart. So I don't know if I'm waffling or if any of this even makes sense, but as long as you stay centered,
everybody's like, it does.
As long as you stay centered in your heart and really come from that heart space of wanting to serve and listen and have that patience, that is the feminine. So if you're in the ego and you're in the masculine, it's about, okay, I need to get this, because the masculine are the providers. The masculine, the hunters, are the ones who want to protect and provide. And the women are the feminine are the ones who want to nurture. And so if you come from a place of being nurturing, you can be a hunter and a gatherer. You can be masculine and feminine in the same space, and that's where it's freaking powerful. Because if you're just in hunter and you're going after it, it's going to be a lot harder for you women, because it's not your soul's nature to be that way, and it's going to be hard for you. But if you're really connected in your heart and you're coming from that place of wanting to serve and nurture and look after people, then you're going to be operating more in your feminine. And that's probably the most broad that I can give it to you without going into another 2 hours of discussion on what masculine and feminine really looks like, and all the rest of it, which I'm more than happy to another time do a teaching just on that for you guys. I'd be honored to do that. But just to give a bit of an overview, that's probably the best I can tell you. And if you're feeling really tense and stressed, then go and put some beautiful music on that you love, that makes you want to move your body, and just go and dance. And, you know, that will get you back in your feminine straight away. And something that I've done, there's a song that I love. It's called Return of the Mac. I don't know if any of you know, but look it up on iTunes, Return of the Mac. It's, for me, it's a really feminine, sexy song. And what I did was, since we're all on women here, I'm just going to be really open and vulnerable. I'm going to let you know what I did. I put that song on and I took all my clothes off and I danced naked around my house for about an hour with the song on repeat, and I just danced and just felt beautiful. I just felt into my beauty of my feminine, and I danced for about an hour. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to anchor that song in my body associated to my feminine. And I did that for one day, and then every day after that I repeated it for half an hour every day for about a week. Now I can put that song on, and as soon as that song's on, I'm in my feminine immediately. I want to take my clothes off and dance all sexy and be all feminine. Not that I do that, but, you know, creating anchors is really powerful. So if you can do some things like that for yourself, please feel free to choose my song. It's such a great song. Those sorts of things will really serve you. So create some little anchors like that.
I love that so much, Leanne. It's like the best thing I've ever heard. And yeah, well, anchors are really powerful. Dancing naked is also powerful. Anybody who knows, like, Isaac and I, we love to like get our dance on. So especially when Vanessa's taking her clothes off. Okay, about to go in a different direction.
I'm so glad there's no guys on here now.
Yeah, I know. I would like swore that you knew that. So
I'm sorry. My brain's just all over the place. I've had a big day, and I did know that, Rachel, and I apologize for just not remembering.
No, that's all good. That's all good. Yeah, and anchors, one thing, yeah, I've actually done some NLP stuff, and they talked a lot about anchors, and really because we all know we've got that song that we were like getting down in the club to or whatever, and like we're feeling like real good, and then when it comes on the radio and it takes you right back and you're like in the club again and you can like feel your body moving, it's like basically that. So music is like so good for that. Like smell is good for it as well. You know, when you smell someone's like perfume or aftershave that you smelled before, it takes you back to that person. So those kind of things are really, really, really awesome. And what else was I going to say that you said? Oh, there's just like so much gold. We've just come out of a massive Blitz week, so you probably saw. I don't know, your business reports show that.
Oh, you guys have done amazing. I'm so just blown away by what you guys have achieved. It's phenomenal.
Oh, and there's like some people on this call that like did incredible things. And people that aren't as well, you know, like we just had such a team-wide, it was really awesome, and very much in that space, driving from the masculine, you know, like you're kind of sending out your messages and you're getting on calls, and, you know, you're like, Isaac says, I become like a little bit like a pit bull in those moments when I'm just like going. And like, he said that like, I don't really, he's like, have you eaten? Have you like slept? Like, because like I'm kind of get a bit fixated. But this week, just like taking that time to really, you know, go for a walk, have your hair done, like do those things
great
yourself, because it's just like bringing yourself back into that really soft, gentle nature, and you're nurturing loving self. So we've kind of got like 10 minutes left. I don't know, while we've got Leanne, obviously her time's super, super valuable, especially with her traveling to America and back. If anybody's got any questions that they would love to ask an Isogenics millionaire or just a friend, if you guys have got anything that you'd love to ask her, or Leanne, if you've got anything else that you wanted to say.
Well, yeah, there's one thing I'd love to say, and then I'm happy to take questions after if you want to. But Rach, one of the questions you said you were going to ask, which you haven't, but that's okay. I want to quickly just mention it because I think
distracted by the naked dancing.
That's okay. I just think it's really important for all of you. You asked me about that you were going to ask about how I'd leverage social media. And what I wanted to say is that, look, everyone does social media differently, and there's a lot of different leaders out there that will tell you how to do it differently, but I just want to share with you how I have done social media. Now, for me on social, and another one, this is something would be worthwhile writing down if you got a pen and paper there. So the way that I do social media is people will go with people that they know, like, and trust. And so it's really important that you give people a sense of who you are, because if you're putting Isogenics all over your Facebook page, then really you're marketing. That's what you're doing. You're a salesperson marketing. Now, it's okay. I'm not saying it's bad to put Isogenics out there. It's fine with that. But essentially you're putting it there to try and attract people to be interested in Isogenics. And that's great. What I do that's different is, and this is what I suggest that you do, and you can do a bit of both. So what I want you to just quickly write down or think about, what are the 10 things that you're most passionate about in life? Just think about that and write some of those things down. And you might want to just write a header, 10 things I'm most passionate about, so that you can come back to this if you want to. 10 things you're most passionate about. What do you value most in life? What are your 10 top values that you value most in life? So for me, my number one value is happiness. I want to be happy, and I want people to be happy. And, you know, some of my other top values is compassion, is gratitude, is kindness, you know, things like that. Fun, like life's fun. We've got to go have fun. So adventure, I love adventure. So there's some of my top values. And then think about things, you know, what do you love to do? What do you really love in life? What inspires you? So write some of those things down. And when you come up with a list of all of those things, pick out of those lists maybe 10, circle or tick 10 things out of that list that most resonates with who you are at your core, that best describe you as your personality. And then what you want to do is you want to rotate your posts around that. So your posts can come from anything off that list, but you want the main part of your posting to be around those values. So everything that you post on your Facebook page, you really want to be speaking into one of those things that you've written down, one of your top 10 off all of that list, because you want to give people a sense of who you are as your authentic, genuine, heartfelt self, because people don't buy products and services, people buy you. Now, if you think about it, you could go, if you wanted to buy a car and you're in the market for buying a car, you might go to one car dealership and you might see a beautiful Mercedes that you like on the parking lot, but some slimy car sales guy might come over and be really, really, really pushy and try and push that car onto you. And you're not going to buy the car from him because, you know, he's pushy and he doesn't have good energy, and you're going to run a mile. But you might go somewhere else, and someone else might be very interested in finding out what's important to you and really discovering more about what you're looking for in a car. And so from there, they're more focused on you and what your needs are, and you're likely to buy the car of that person. So that's sort of one of the examples. But at the end of the day, it's the energy of what you bring and who you bring and how you show up that is why people are going to want to share your journey with you. And that's what you want to do, is you want to inspire people to either be someone to be on the journey with you or be like you. And that's the thing. People will look at your page and they'll think, wow, does this person resonate with me? I really like their values. I like what they're about. And they'll be trusting straight away. And that's what you want to have when you're sharing Isogenics with people. So my recommendation would be to do that on Facebook in conjunction with whatever else you're already putting out there with Isogenics. Because if you start sharing Isogenics with someone, the first thing they're going to do is go to your Facebook page and see who you are, and that's going to be the pre-frame for everything from there forward as to whether they're going to decide to come on board with you. So that's all I wanted to say about social media.
That's awesome, Leanne. That's so good. I love that. I love the top 10 things that you're most passionate about, because like there's things that I am passionate about, but I've noticed that I don't really like. I'm really very passionate skier. I love skiing like you would not believe, but I don't very often share about that on social media. So just bringing that in allows people to kind of have that doorway into your life a little bit more.
Yeah, totally.
Get to know you more. And that's essentially what people want, is they want to be friends with you and they want to get to know you. So
totally.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I love that. And I always think that when I see your posts as well.
I have not posted for almost 4 months. I cannot believe that.
I did look.
I know. I've needed some time off Facebook. My study has been so intense, and I didn't finish, and I'll do it quickly, but the purpose of what I'm studying at the moment is I really want to help. I want to start running retreats and seminars in 2019 and workshops for men, for women, for couples, on how to have really fulfilling, heartfelt relationships where they bring out the best in each other and people magnify each other rather than there's a lot of relationships out there where men and women see each other as the enemy and they don't understand each other very well. So for me, it's about helping men and women understand each other better so they can have really beautiful relationships. And it's not just for relationships. I also want to teach people how to use this in business so that women can be more fulfilled in business and they can show up more empowered in being able to step in and out of the masculine and feminine to serve themselves and serve the people around them. And then for parenting and all sorts of things. So it's an area that I'm very passionate about, and it's something that I feel is so very needed these days because our whole culture has got completely skewed over time because of the way that we're all out in the workforce now, and everything's changed so much. So
yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see all of that. And when you spoke to me about it online, that I was just like, oh my God, just like writing back like furiously. I couldn't type quick enough like to hear more about what you're doing. And I love that Isogenics has given you the freedom to be able to do that. And that gives me something to inspire too, like, because there's things that I want to do in the world. But, been able to have that 6-7 figure income to then go, okay, I'm going to do this, and not have to ask anyone or consider anything apart from, okay, what's my flight and how am I going to make it work around my children? Like, it's just such a freedom. Because essentially if we were in 9-to-5 jobs, there's no way that we could go do those things and fulfill those passions. I actually wrote about that in my script, that Isogenics is fueling all my other passions and all my other purposes. So
totally, Rach. And I mean, look, some people make Isogenics a career forever, and it will be part of my career forever. But, I think for me, going through this whole journey with Isogenics and creating this success and just realizing that anything's possible. And I knew in myself that I had so much more to contribute outside, like more than what I'd done in Isogenics. I knew that my message was bigger than that. And I lost a little baby that was so important to me, and that brought me Isogenics. And oh gosh, I'm going to get emotional. Sorry.
That's okay. Like I said, safe space. You can be whoever you want to be here.
And like the last few years, going through my separation and divorce, have been quite challenging. I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize. You really don't. we might all cry.
I know. It's just been a real personal journey. And, you know, the thing that I'm so grateful for is it's like losing a little baby led me to isogenics and all of the rest of what I've been going through. And the fact that I have isogenics, I'm so grateful, because the journey that I'm on for myself personally at the moment is bringing me the biggest gift of all, because what I'm learning about the masculine, feminine, and I'm so passionate about this, and what I know that I'm going to contribute from here is so powerful for all of you guys. And so it's just something I have to go through at the moment to be able to give this next gift. And having isogenics is such a blessing for that.
We love you so much. Thank you so much for sharing yourself with us.
That's okay. Sorry.
Such an honour. No, because I said this on a call to one of the girls today, and I will always stand by this, that everything that happens in our life, whether it be good or bad, however it is perceived at that moment in time, and however much it hurts, it always happens for a reason.
Totally.
There is never anything that's happening by chance. So I want you guys to always remember that you know, in the tough times, there's always a reason. There's always a reason. And, you know, you couldn't understand it at the time, but now looking back, it's like that quote.
Yeah.
Looking back, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So,
well, yeah. As much as I've just got emotional, and thank you for holding the space for me for that. I really appreciate you letting me be so vulnerable and open. I just want to let you guys know, probably the biggest thing that I've learned over time in my life is that every single challenge that comes into our life, and I know that so many of you have been going through different challenges, are in different challenges at the moment, every single challenge that I've been through in my life, the most beautiful blessings have always come out the other side. And to the magnitude of the pain that you go through, to the depth of the challenge that you go through, for me, from my experience, is the magnitude of the blessing at the other end, is the gift that comes at the other end. And, you know, I lost that little baby, and it was such a hard time for me. But the blessing that isogenics has been to my life, and 38,000 people now in my team as a result of that little baby passing away. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have joined isogenics. I wasn't interested in network marketing at all. But this all happened as a result of something that was a big challenge in my life. And now these last few years going through all of this, which was a choice I made for a whole lot of reasons, and I made the right choice, and I'm very positive about this. It's just been challenging, you know, the challenge that I've been going through. I just see the blessing already. You know, it's like if you just trust when you're in the challenge, you don't have to know what's coming. You just have to trust that there's a beautiful blessing coming, and just trust in that knowledge, so that when you're feeling the challenge, feeling the pain, I'm grateful for it, because I know that some point something magnificent is going to come. And so that has been the greatest gift in my life, is to know that the universe always has my back, and it always has all of our backs. We just have to trust in that. And when we trust in that, it comes. It really does.
So good, Leanne. I'm definitely going to take that little golden nugget and really, I remember one of my spiritual mentors said something very similar to me, and it's always stuck with me, because, you know, it can be really difficult, especially when you're like knee deep in it and you're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. But like, yeah, just knowing that there is some greater good for that reason, you know, I think is just so
there always is, because you can't expand yourself without being outside your comfort zone. That's where growth comes. Growth does not come when you are in a comfort zone. So the greater the discomfort, the greater the expansion, the greater that we expand within ourselves, and the more than we have to, the more we get to be, and the more that we get to contribute.
Yeah.
You know? and it goes in waves. It's like breathing of the universe. It really is. That's what I see it as. It's the expansion and contraction. It's the breathing. It's the challenge. It's the challenge, the gift, the challenge, the gift.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
I love that. That's so good. What a great analogy. I'm like, we should have started speaking about this an hour ago. No, I'm like, we need to stay on. We're running over time. So and we can definitely have you back on, I'm sure. And like, just want to say from the bottom of my heart, and I know everybody that's on this call, thank you so much for giving up your time. Thank you for being vulnerable, and for feeling like you could be that way with us. Like, we're just all so grateful. We're grateful that we get to be in that 34,000, was it 34, 38? I can't remember.
Something like that.
We're grateful we get to be some of those people that make up your beautiful team. And it was, when we found out that you were a leader, it was such an honor to be working with you. So I'd love to finish off by taking a photo. I'm going to actually
with my eyes all red.
Oh no, you look amazing.
Mine are too, don't worry.